Hey guys, welcome to the brush series where I talk about all of my favorite brushes, how I use them, and why I love them so much. If you enjoy this video, please make sure to like it and then subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when new videos like this come out. Alright, so this video is going to be directed towards Filbert Brushes. I've got all my brushes laid out here. This is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be a 5 video series where I go over my different brushes. So I'm going to go over Filbert, square, fan brushes, round brushes, and then I've got a category of like miscellaneous brushes that don't really fit into any subjective category at all. They're just random ones that I have that I use very frequently. So right now we're going to go over Filberts. So if you don't know what a Filbert is, a Filbert brush is a square brush that has been rounded off. These are the 4 that I mainly use. I'm going to go over why I love them and how I use them in all of my paintings, including these 2 behind us. We're going to use these for reference. So let's start with the big guy, okay? This one I use for my backgrounds, mainly. And you can see I beat them up a little bit here. My bad. So I beat up on my brushes, I really do. Don't go buy like crazy expensive brushes and be worried about using them. When I get a brush, I'm like, I'm probably gonna destroy that. Like that's a good way to go into it. So I use this one to do all my backgrounds. Let me scoot you guys in a little bit closer here so you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to this guy. So let's center, perfect, almost. Here we go. Okay, so if you can see here, this is a drip line basically. So I loaded this paintbrush up with like 75% water, 25% paint, and that's how I get my drips, is I do that and then I push him down. If you guys can see here, I push him down and I drag him across a little bit and then I get some drips. When I am just trying to fill a background, I will load my paint up on this and I will make sure that my paint is pretty wet. And then I get in my background and I literally just do the Bob Ross, like flip-flop, crisscross. And that's how I get most of my color into my backgrounds. I know that this seems like a small brush to do that with paintings that are this size, but I enjoy that because it gives me the versatility and the capability of making like kind of chunky abstract backgrounds. So if, like, let's say this is too light here and I'm like, oh, but I want like a dark spot. So like down here you can see it's kind of dark. So then I'll get darker paint and I'll, you know, wish wash over here. For backgrounds, get yourself, if you're using acrylics, get yourself a spray bottle because I use this with my backgrounds to get things drippy and help them flow and everything along those lines. You can see in this bear right here, if you can see up here, that's like where I sprayed some water and let things drip down. Okay, next I'm gonna put these 2 kind of together, and that was a size 40 Filbert, by the way. This larger one is a size 22. This one is covered up because there's paint all over it. This one is a size 12. Okay, so we've got a size 22 and a size 12, okay? So these guys I used mainly, like I'll show you on the bear because I used it on the bear more than I did on the bees over here. But the biggest reason I love Filberts is because you can still get like a hefty, you know, kind of contour line, but it doesn't start out in a square, so there's nothing that you have to like round out or smooth out afterwards. If you are painting a person, like look at my profile here. So if you're painting a person and you need to put a jawline in right here, then I use this, I start here and I go up this way. But then it gives me the rounded part of the chin, and so then I don't need to like be careful about having a really strong like straight line right there if I want to start off round but still have a contour line, if that makes sense. So I used these a lot to get in here, and I used these a lot for his little facial, his face fur chunks, like I don't know exactly what you would call them. And then for the smaller one, I did the same thing, but that's just what I used for the smaller areas of his face where it needs a little bit more fine detail, or like down here where I wanted to add some highlight to his little lip. Going to this one, I used this Filbert for these brush petals right here. So I like to do these for brush petals, flower petals, that's what I just said. I like to use Filberts for flower petals for the same reason that I like to use them to contour the jawline. Because you can start out with this soft edge right here, right? You don't have a square edge. And then when I pull petals in, I pull them in like this and I smush my brush down pretty good. And then I actually twist my brush so that the angled line, because see it's kind of flat there. So I twist it and then it brings up and brings up that petal and makes it delicate and actually looks like a flower petal going to the stamen, right? So I did that on all of these. That's how you get the curves in here. That's how you get the little dimension going on here, is you pull and then kind of swoop a little bit, if that makes sense. This little guy, so I didn't really use him a whole lot on these paintings. The main place that I used him is on this bee right here. Let me show you. So let me get you in the right position here. There he is. Okay, so can you guys see all of this texture in his little booty here? So, and I think that's called a thorax, right? I should know that. So all this texture here is because I use this little Filbert brush. Can't see it very good. So I use this little Filbert brush, which is a number 1. I use this little guy and I loaded up paint on him, and then I went in like this sideways so that it would create this bumpy texture on here, and so that we would get a lot of like paint, you know, paint texture on it instead of having a flat painting. So I did that, and that helped to create that texture in here. I use this one a lot for texture for those reasons, and I also use this a lot for like bird feathers for texture on those. I just do the same technique. All right, so that concludes my Filbert video. If you don't have a Filbert brush, I would definitely recommend getting one. They are, literally, I use it in every single painting, and I use it the most out of all of my other brushes. These guys, by far, aside from the fan brush, is like my favorite number 1 top brush. So these guys or similar will be linked below in the description if you want to snag yourself some. Happy painting.